Happy new moon in Aquarius. I'm celebrating here with my altar, and I wanted to share what I'm working with. This is a really special Aquarius new moon. It's also the Lunar New Year, and we've got like 6 planets in Aquarius. So it's really special, and yes, I'm working with images from Totoro, My Neighbor Totoro from Studio Ghibli, one of my favorite animated children's movies. And I think a great example of the very Aquarian energy of stepping outside what is known and stepping outside what you're familiar with. This is that 11th house principle of literally being comfortable or operating from outside what is known. And I think this movie is just a great story about that principle. This main character, May, she interacts with all these fantastical creatures, mystical, that she can only see them, and it's because she has her way of looking at it. She has her viewpoint, her standpoint, her perspective. It's that part of, the human development, that stage in childhood when you're just able to see things for yourself and to sort of understand and put meaning together, but you haven't really absorbed all the conditioning. So you're still very much dancing to the beat of your own drum, so to speak. And this character, May, she really embodies that archetype of being comfortable outside of the familiar. And this is what allows her to see all these creatures. She's not looking for what's expected. She's not expecting the expected. She's expecting whatever she sees, whatever in front of her. Right? That's that very childlike, being present in the moment, but very active, curious, right? Comfortable with the unfamiliar. What's that? So here in this altar, I'm working with that principle, that aspect, and these masculine side of it and a feminine side of it. And I'm bringing those two together to integrate them, to bring them together and work with them together in myself. So I'm working with this scene where she speaks to the cat bus. And this is about, she gets to go up and take a ride in this cat bus, and she gets to take a trip up in the sky over the village and sees her house and her community from a completely new vantage point. And this is such a Aquarius mental, cerebral air sign energy of stepping out of your normal circumstances to get this fresh perspective that gives you insight, right? It's like she's able to go up in the sky and take this trip and see things. She sees things from this totally exterior. She steps out of herself, almost an out-of-body experience. And here's reishi. I paired this scene with reishi, the magic medicinal mushroom that is also called the bringer of light, or the red pill, or the awakener. It brings insight, and it kind of also has a similar taking you up to a very high perspective to see things clearly, taking you out of yourself. That can be a very frightening experience, right? This is a huge creature coming out of the sky. A lot of people would run in fear, and you can see she's afraid. She's her cheeks are flushed and she's clutching her, her knapsack to her chest. It's like she's definitely afraid, but she meets that cat bus with courage. And she says, yes, I will take this trip and I will get this new perspective. So I paired this reishi with a whole bunch of Mars fire energy here. I've got a red candle and some garlic and my Mars water. That's a elemental essence with railroad spikes. And I have some lava and a hawthorn branch with some nice sharp thorns. To bring in that courage, right? To bring in that push to really meet those experiences with that yes, that it really takes her stepping up and meeting it head on, and taking that challenge. So this is that masculine side of the energy. This feminine side, I'm working with the scene where May follows these little dust bunnies outside of the house into the forest and falls down like a rabbit hole and into the center of this gigantic tree. And in the center of this tree is Totoro taking a nap, and she falls onto him. And this is, if this is May stepping out and having an out-of-body experience and seeing things from this higher external perspective, this, cerebral visual, like looking at things, seeing things differently, this is her going inside, and she ends up falling asleep. Like she just kind of falls asleep on him and goes into her dream world. And that's also can also be a very uncomfortable experience. And she here really embodies this like playful meeting of this very unfamiliar. Like a lot of people would freak out, right, if they fell down a hole in a tree and landed on this gigantic being that they had never seen anything like it. But she's just like, oh, it's fuzzy and soft and I'm just gonna fall asleep here. So he even looks more freaked out than she does, right? So this is another reminder for me of being comfortable with that internal places that are unfamiliar, right? That journey inward, not just out of body experiences, but allowing, the wisdom that's gained from going inside. Also being comfortable with that and meeting that with kind of a playful, curious energy. That, if she were to, similar over here, like she could easily not, a lot of people would shrink away from that and be afraid of it just because it's unfamiliar. So here I'm using this flower petals, tulips and rose petals, which are softening and opening. I also have this violet flower essence from my garden. Violet is also a water plant, a moon plant. It tastes delicious, smells amazing, and helps me. For me, this is a symbol of flow and going with the flow and being open and the power in being soft and receiving, right? So I also have this fossilized seashell and a cauldron, which symbolizes the internal space, a void. And here I have these flowering quince. The hummingbirds and the bees are just so happy and attracted to these flowers right now outside in the garden. So I brought those in as well to bring in some Venus energy. So here's the more internal experience of going on that journey into somewhere, into unknown territory, and the softening and allowing and trust that's required. Right? There's a lot of trust here, and there's a lot of bravery here, courage. So I'm bringing those together in my new moon. I hope that this new moon finds you well and whole and moving through, sending you protection if you want it, and I will see you next time.